YouTube, how is everybody doing? Welcome to the third, the third slot of Ark of Osiris this weekend? That's what it is right now. Misfits Lions against, Misfit Lion Division, better said, against K50. That is right. Let's move this out of the way right here. Bam. Put this way and make sure everybody is aware of the fact that we're live right now. Send a quick message out. There we go. So bam. Send message now in here. Plus another message comes out this way. Bam. Done. Cool. We are good to go. How's it going for Fernando? Gulf City, what's up? What's up, Dragothian? How's it going? Welcome to the stream, everybody. We have Misfit Lion Division versus the legendary K50. This is going to be a big Ark of Osiris, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the biggest in terms of the insane amounts of power you can pull and the biggest, strongest, craziest matchmaking ranking out there, but these alliances fought very hard during their Lost Kingdoms, and they might not necessarily all have every single one of their top tier players in here, but this is going to be a crazy fight nonetheless. Who is K50? K50 is is the alliance that fought against Chisco during their Lost Kingdom. They are from Kingdom 50. It's Noon's squad with Shifty, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very, very strong alliance, and they're going up against Misfits Lion Division. We're about 50 seconds out of this very early Ark of Osiris. Very, very early. What's up, Baby the Beast? Hemo, how's it going? I'm good. How about you? Gulf City, nice. Hope it'll be a good fight. It should be a very even fight in here. Hello from Kingdom 196. How's it going, Sibrail? Seabrail? How do I say your name? We have 27 seconds. Is this the first time they fought? I think so. I think it's the first arc these guys go up against each other. Yes. We're looking at Misfit Lion Division, who are 7.2 billion power total, with Lion King of Kingdom 93 as their leader. I don't really know who's going to be present just yet from my brief talk with the Misfits. Some of their top tier players, some of their stronger players, their R4s, the people who are always there, are not present this time around due to time conflicts. Good Ark of Osiris League, good Osiris League preview. Hopefully the Osiris League playoffs will look something like this. I don't know if the group stage will look as crazy as this, but we're looking at K50 to start it off. We have Noon leading the pack in here. Things are taking a little bit to load and move around, but we'll keep an eye on that. 51 million player. Let's keep an eye on how many people are not tier 5s here. I think that'll be a better choice. We're looking at a potential non-tier 5 player right there. So potentially one. There is two for sure. Well, one for sure right there. And all I see is 50s. Ooh, Loki with 120 some million power. We have another one right there. There goes Noon. Damn, Noon with 168 million power. He is a force to be reckoned with. You don't want to mess with this guy. Trust me, you don't want to mess with this guy. Let's go take a look at the Misfit Lion Division department with Lion King leading the charge. I think we can pretty much count the non-tier 5s in here too. Some of the, maybe we'll see a little bit less of them in here, but these guys might potentially have more troops available per person. But as I say that, bam, 100 million player, 100 million player. These guys sent in the big boys. It's not everybody, but it's a good portion of the big boys right here. We have Tom Kent. Shout out to Tom Kent, an ex-high member from Kingdom 58, now showing up big for Kingdom 93 on their Ark of Osiris. Let's take a look here what else we have. More people keep pouring in. We have about a minute remaining before the Ark of Osiris begins. If you guys are new to what an Ark of Osiris really is, the way it works, it's a point-based game. It's an hour long, well, technically 57 minutes long. And the way it works is you have two sets of buildings. The first set of building is the obelisk and the outposts, one that you don't see on this side like that. Let's do it like that. So the first set of buildings you can see right here. The buildings open up as soon as the gates are about to open in 36 seconds, and these buildings are available for immediate occupation. From there, 5 minutes into the match, which would be in about 5 minutes, right? 8 minutes into the match, the second layer of buildings opens up, and from there, first occupations start coming up, and you start gaining points per minute, and the match really begins. Each building has its unique amount of points you get per minute by occupying the building, and first occupation rewards. The first things that people usually do is go after the obelisks to instantly occupy them and wait the 3-minute cooldown on the building so they can port out of the base camp out towards the obelisks. So gates have opened, and we are going to see troops starting to pour out, both from the Misfit Lion Division Department and from K50. As they start taking up the buildings, it doesn't look like K50. Oh, there it is. Now it looks like K50 are up and running. We see 8 rallies already set, 4 by the Misfits, 4 by Kingdom 50. And we are looking at counter rallies across the board by both alliances, rallying their own obelisks as well as the enemy obelisk. Let's go take a look at what these rallies are in a moment. As they start marching, we'll figure out how things go. Hey Gekko, glad you're casting this one. Lion King is a great guy and one of the strongest in the game. Well-respected UCS, roots for MFLD. Damn. Yeah, I really like these folks. The MFLD guys are very, very strong. They had mentioned to me that this is not their ultimate, like, strongest, biggest lineup available, but it is. Anytime they put up numbers, they put up big, strong numbers. So regardless, this is going to be a very, very good one. Just for you guys who don't know K50 at all, this is an alliance from Kingdom 50, and they are also 9 billion power, going up against the 7.2 billion power alliance. So this is going to be a really, really good one. This is going to be a very, very tough fight for both teams, as we see a fast cav marching already towards the other side. The enemy obelisk on the top side right here, you can see red marches going towards it as well as blues. We have on the other obelisk, same story. Every single obelisk has that same story. 2 color marches going across the board for both teams. Now, the first team to actually pick up a few buildings early on are the blue team, the Kingdom 93 team, picking up their 2 first outposts very, very quickly. The thing about this game mode is you have 3 minutes in which a building is under cooldown, under what would be like occupation. Once the occupation cooldown is down and over, the building is secured for your team, and you start ticking for points per minute. So it is crucial to get the buildings as quickly as possible. And you can see that the red team prioritized their obelisk over the outposts. And right now things are closing up quickly as the red team pick up their own outposts, pick up 2 outposts right here, head towards the obelisks. But there should be rallies marching on either side. Let's keep an eye on these initial rallies by the Misfits crew to see where they stand right now. So far, we have marching rallies across the board going towards their own outposts as well, obelisks, as well as to the enemy obelisks. There are marches all over the place. 4 marches, 4 rallies on each side, and you can see right here they're both going for their own obelisks and their oppositions. Let's see if anything comes out of it. For now, red team pulling up a little bit ahead, picking up both their obelisks, while the blue team still has one to take control over. So we are going to see a slight early advantage towards the blue team early on, and then the red team should pick up that advantage back as they will be able to lock in more buildings ahead of time. Now this really worries me. This top obelisk is a huge problem, as there is this looks like a rally very close to this top obelisk and no blue marches nearby. Is this a thing? Is this a quick catch? Can Wesco actually make it there with 1 or 2 marches in the obelisk? While these guys are marching, Mini Savage, Cabo. Oh my god, Wesco is actually going to get there first. Oh, what a crazy... What a crazy start. K50 picking up the top obelisk, full rally. Oh no, what a disaster start for the Misfit Lion guys. A million power, a million troops inside this obelisk right now, and there is a rally marching in its way here, and it looks like a full infantry rally. So it seems like the Misfits had calculated that this could happen and decided to send an infantry rally. This is actually not a bad play at all. They actually made their other team work hard to get here, which was not an easy thing, and they already have the counterattack for this. So this is not bad. This is like an illusion, because they picked up the bottom obelisk in return, and unlike the red team and the blue team, the red team does not have a rally here ready. These guys traded obelisks, but it seems like the Misfits had this already planned out, and they knew this was going to happen, and so they have a rally much earlier on their own obelisk. We see the same exact strategy going on here, knowing that the Misfits will pick up their the obelisk on the bottom, and knowing, look at this. I have never seen something like this before. These guys are actually trading buildings. We're looking at a altar picked up by the red team that's supposed to be on the blue team. 2 altars by the red team. Blue team picking up pretty much both the shrines of life, which are the buildings that give you buffs for heals. Wow, what a messy start. Blue team, Misfit Lion division picking up their top obelisk back. Now the red team fighting back for their bottom obelisk, but the top red obelisk is almost going down here. Evil Pikachu in here though to try to stop this from happening. 2 solo marches on the battlefield, plus I'm assuming he can add things into this, but the red team is not caving. Guys, this is probably one of the craziest beginnings I have seen to an Ark ever. And so far, believe it or not, the red team is a little bit of an advantage, even though they do not own 2 obelisks. They only have 1. They've picked up their second obelisk back up, and now they still own 3 altars. But just like that, the 1 march by Evil Knight was taken out of the desert altar, and we are back into somewhat of an even playing field. As of right now, the advantage goes towards the blue team, as they have 2 shrines of life available in their name. Now you can see the middle layer is under occupation cooldown still, but the bottom back area is kind of evened out, as both teams still missing 1 obelisk, the obelisk that they lost very early on. And it looks like someone here is trying to solo this obelisk. Did a pretty good amount of damage. Oh, this was a rally actually. Doing a pretty good amount of damage. These 5 folks working here. But when you have someone like Evil Pikachu and BBTV in here with their tier 5s just doing massive damage, it's not as easy as it seems. There's a Loki march taking the outpost of Iset out of the blue team's hands. We're seeing buildings trading hands very early in this matchup, something we hadn't seen before. And the blue team are a little bit ahead, but the red team are gaining on them with 30 points per minute head start. What a crazy beginning. Wow, this is actually a thing. These guys actually got to a point where look at how this map is looking. We're looking at still a slight, it looks like a slight advantage for the blue team once everything closes down. We have a little bit of time still remaining on all buildings, but first occupation bonuses are looking good for 2 altars for the red team. Blue team are about to lock in 1 of their altars, while there's still time, about 1 minute and 20 seconds on this desert altar, and I'm not sure how secured this desert altar really is, as this was a solo march going up against, so there could still be only the solo march in here by the Geo. So Lion King coming in to reinforce this desert altar is a must. And as the buildings start locking down for either teams, we're starting to see the points per minute game really step it up. Red team still a little bit ahead, but once everything clears out, I believe the blue team should have an early advantage. As teleports start coming in, it is time to port forward. Tom Kent in here. We see a Lady Dragon up front for the blue team. Papa Smurf. Big shout out to Papa Smurf, an ex-high member as well, doing work now for the Misfit Lion division. And as the points per minute game slowly closes out, We have a standoff right next to the desert altar right here. A bunch of marches waiting up to pounce on this desert altar. While on the other side, it looks like the Misfits are still sending more rallies towards the obelisk. They're trying to keep pressure on K50's obelisk. But this time around, the obelisk will lock down and the red team will have the availability to port forward before this rally hits. As you guys can see right here, the first port by the red team is none other than Evil Noon. Noon himself came here, and we're about to see him do what he needs to do to hold on to this obelisk, which you don't see here, but it's right there. So they still have 3 teleports available on either team, and it's worth noting that the red team are 2 members down. Blue team right now with 50 points per minute lead. That is not a huge lead. They have a bigger-ish lead when it comes to the total points because of first occupation bonuses that worked in their favor this time around. But it is way too early to call it for absolutely anyone. This is wide open. And unless K50 make a mistake and lose this obelisk right here, it seems that they are poised to potentially take back the lead. There's still plenty of time left in this match, and the action is happening across the board. This is right next to an outpost of Iset, which is a really weird one. We've been seeing a lot of teams fighting for these outposts more recently. They've been fighting for it to kind of slow down other teams' progression of Ark of Osiris captures. But again, I can quite honestly tell you that if you own something like the Shrine of War, which is even as close as the outposts themselves, then having an outpost taken away from the other team is a bit of a useless thing to do, except for the fact that if you fill this outpost with troops, what'll end up happening is that the blue team will now have troops behind their enemies' lines, as these guys from the red team might want to pull out this Ark of Osiris towards their side, but there could be a substantial amount of troops on this side, not letting the red team make a single move. So far, aggression by the blue team very early on. I don't see as big of a presence of the red team on the blue side of the map, but I am seeing rallies coming on both sides from both people. We have a marching rally coming in here on its way to the desert altar. There is about to be a showdown right here. We have a ton of blue marches out on the battlefield right here. And so we have the red team out here just as well with their presence next to the desert altar. But what I'm not seeing is the red team K50 going up aggressively, trying to take over buildings from the blue team. But what they did do is they locked down the points per minute game to a point where it's an even game, and the blue team currently is not gaining more points and not gaining a bigger lead. And as we talk about it, desert altar on the top being rallied by the blue team and the red team trying to hold on to it, but at the same time the red team is rallying. Well, it doesn't seem like they're rallying. They are solo swarming the desert altar at the bottom side. I don't see a rally anywhere in here, just a swarm of crazy players doing massive work. They don't need a rally. They got the numbers, they got the troops, they're just gonna pounce it in. And they got everything they need to hold on to the top desert altar. This could be a really tough one for Misfit Lion Division, even though they have the presence available to still reinforce their own rally and to still take the desert altar from the red team. Red team with their solo swarm pick up another altar, and Misfits picking up an altar in return. This is pretty crazy. These guys are going tit for tat. And still, the Misfits are holding on to a slight lead. About 900 points difference between the two teams, but the blue team with 60 points per minute more. The Ark of Osiris is there, but nobody is really touching it just yet. We have Misfits all over the place here. One Misfit march right here, but a lot of them behind enemy lines coming back from that outpost into the zone that's supposed to belong to the red team, and they are poised to take over the Ark of Osiris territory. Now, this K50 player is not doing a wrong thing. We talk about the fact that you shouldn't pick up the Ark when there are enemy marches nearby, but because there is such a heavy presence of the blue team here, any movement this march can make towards this side, even taking the Ark of Osiris down towards their side over towards the blue side, will require the blue team to march a little bit longer. That little bit is what the blue team need to reposition. We are seeing buildings blinking across the board. The K50's team eating up a rally right here on the Shrine of Life, while the blue team are taking a very, very big hit down up here on the obelisk. It looks like this rally is going to be very well taken care of. Careless Whisper, big shout out to you, my man. Pointing up here, sending his troops into the obelisk, securing the obelisk. And the Shrine of Life that is taking substantial amounts of damage is right now being reinforced with more infantry. This seems like an infantry-based building that is, even though it's as low as it is doing almost as much damage to the rally by the blue team. This is actually getting super, super interesting, even though the red team is about 1,100 points behind. The Ark of Osiris is on their side right now, and the blue team are really going to have to work to get rid of everybody here before they can move this out of here. And honestly, the red team, because they have a massive amount of troops available, some of these guys are not really caring too much about the march itself that is going down. They're caring more about making sure this arc moves as close as it can towards the red side. You can see that the map is starting to shape up to an even playing field. There are still buildings waiting for cooldown for both teams, and once that happens, we should be seeing about the same points per minute. But just like that, the blue team picking up the Shrine of Life away from the red team, and they're poised to take a desert altar as well. Evil Noon out here ready to pounce on this rally and ready to reinforce this desert altar. Hopefully he gets there in time for the red team, or else this is going to be a huge problem. These guys are swarming the rally rather than reinforcing the building. They need troops inside this building. Another set of troops came in just in time to slow down the slaughter, and another one to really secure the hold on this desert altar. The brute force technique to pick up this Ark of Osiris has worked, and the red team are marching with it, and this is how they close this gap. If they pick up these 3,000 points, they're going to get ahead by about 2,000 points, and that'll give them enough leeway, enough time to work out their strategy to close down this advantage that currently the blue team has over them with about 80 points per minute ahead. Even still, the blue team still has more control over the map. More buildings are in favor of the blue team, and the most important buildings are actually in control of the blue team right now, which are the Shrines of Life. The Shrines of Life give you a 25% healing speed buff. And as of right now, the blue team can essentially heal, well, in about a minute once that building locks down into their side. They have about a minute on this, a minute and a half. And once that happens, they have a 50% healing boost, which the red team does not have. Huge advantage. That's the time to start pushing some heals if that's what you are doing. The red team is being sneaky. They have an outpost picked up away from the blue team behind their front lines. And it looks like the red team will be successful to capture this first Ark of Osiris. It's kind of interesting. The blue team was really poised in terms of positioning to take this arc. They had the forward thinking of being ahead on this outpost right here and bringing out the marches. But it seems like the red team had more marches available in the nearby vicinity to really cause the arc to slow down substantially, allowing more marches to come in. And we see the red team picking up the first Ark of Osiris and yanking away the lead from the blue team. Now we're seeing a solo swarm, Loki, 100+ million power player, solo swarming the Shrine of Life at the bottom. There is a Yisong on the Shrine of Life that is going to shred some damage on these solo marches, on these swarms. Massive damage by this Yisong, but the red team does not care. They have the troops to send to the grinder, and so they do. While we're watching this, I want to keep an eye on chat for a moment and welcome all of you to this awesome cast. We have Ken Tan, we have Musgrave, we have K96 Kyle, we have Hex from KO202, who is Dizzy, the Pie Master, Vixen, Patrick, Pratik as well, Jackie, we have Fernando, Alex, Dragothian, Yalola, iPad. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the cast. As we watch the Misfits doing a really good job at putting pressure across the map consistently. And it still seems to me, as they pick up their third altar, their sky altar, there's 3 minutes until this thing starts ticking for points for them. It still seems to me like the red team are still only reacting to the actions by the blue team. It still seems like the blue team are solidly on the driver's side, right? They are in control of this map, even though the points, the final score right now doesn't seem like that. They are way ahead on the points per minute game, 200 points per minute more for the blue team, and they own a substantial amount of buildings, including 3 of the biggest, most important buildings, and they are already contesting to pick up the 4th one, their 4th altar. And it really seems like the red team are just all over the place, just trying to put out the fires across the board. And I don't know if this is because of strategy or this is because of just, not really having the window to actually make your own strategy, because the Misfits are sending rally after rally after rally after rally after rally, and there's just no breathing time to do your own thing. You got to be able to secure your buildings and at the same time pick up enemy buildings. It's not an easy task. You can see Loki right here. The player that we were just talking about, 123 million power player, doesn't care at all. There's a swarm in here, a little swarm on this rally. It looks like this obelisk will be secured. We're seeing another altar being swarmed by the red team, but this altar is very well secured by the Misfits. Evil Noon is such a strong player that I wouldn't put it past him to solo swarm this, but all his marches are very weak, and I believe what he did here was primarily suicide these marches to have a faster walk back. So all these 4 marches were just suicided into this desert, into this sky altar, just to get them to walk back faster. That's not a bad move if you have the troops to just suicide and you don't mind it. Lady Dragon doesn't seem to have what it takes to take this desert altar. Perhaps she does, as two reinforcements come into this rally. There's about 600,000 troops in here, and K50 are holding on for dear life for their only altar right now. Shrine of War also being contested by the blue team, taking it away from the red team, and the sky altar blinking for the red team, and blue team securing it. I see 3 red buildings blinking versus the top desert altar that is being rallied right now. And oh my goodness, if all these conversions happen, this is going to be very, very tough for the red team to come back from. You're seeing this rally we were watching being swarmed by these players and being taken care of. So one building stopped blinking, second building being taken care of, and finally, the most important one, the desert altar, doesn't seem to have as big of a presence as the Shrine of War and the obelisk itself. And now the question is whether anybody can make it in here on time before this desert altar falls. While that is going on, the red team is doing a lot of work to the top desert altar, but there are marches in the vicinity for the blue team to potentially be able to hold on to this still. Remember that these marches can still make their way into the desert altar to help secure it, and so you're seeing 5-5 open marching straight into the desert altar, and Babam making his way in. The health bar going up. I thought he was going to go in. Turns out he's going to hit the rally first. Okay. And now he went in. There it is. So we're seeing the 2 altars right now being contested. Red team coming back from behind the rally. Can this rally take this desert altar away from the red team? Red team really have to hold on to the... Oh, and just in time holding it. But there's still a solo march hitting this building. This building still needs to be reinforced. It can still go down to in favor of the blue team. Is anyone going to reinforce this building? I cannot believe that solo march just took away that desert altar. That's a huge misstep by the red team, because right now, even though they're going to take away this building back from that one solo march, it's going to have a 3-minute cooldown in which the red team will not be gaining any points whatsoever out of this map, out of this building. And the red team are really, really behind right now. They are 350 points behind the blue team, and this is really, really tough because they did get a little bit of a slack from that first Ark of Osiris they secured. But if they don't slow down the pace that the Misfits are going on, this lead is going to get closed down momentarily. And K50 are doing everything they can to pick up another Desert Altar, another altar away from the blue team. This is do or die time. If they can pick up this Desert Altar right now, things are going to get a lot better for the blue team as they tick out 150 points per minute from the blue team back. And they can potentially come back with another 300 points per minute once both their altars lock back down in their occupation. A rally hitting yet again the Shrine of Life, but there are plenty of red marches all over the place. This rally is still good. This rally is still doing a decent amount of damage. The building itself is doing more damage to the rally, so it seems that perhaps 1 or 2 more marches coming into the Shrine of Life is what the red team needs to secure it for sure. But all these people doing the solo hits on the battlefield and not paying attention that their building is getting chunked down. If the building goes back towards the blue team, it'll be very bad news for the red team who are pouring in troops. These guys are pouring in troops into the Shrine of Life to secure it and then continue their way towards the bottom sky altar. Looks like the red team are poised to secure this desert altar, and ba-bam, it goes towards the red team. One more altar, sky altar being rallied right here. This could be the turnaround that the red team are looking for as they are about to lose the lead due to the fact that the blue team is really further ahead in the point per minute game, 300 points per minute in favor of the blue team, and in a moment they will be taking back the lead. 31 minutes remaining in this match. This is everybody's game right now. This might be the closest Ark of Osiris we'll see this weekend. Out of what, 16 billion power alliances across both of them. Unbelievable work by both these alliances. And now we're starting to see K50 acting. They had that little bit of a break where they had that gain from the Ark of Osiris. It gave them a little bit of breathing room to start doing their own work, and they are doing work. They have 2 altars secured, plus 2 blue buildings are blinking all together. There was a rally marching right here, and the rally was canceled. I believe that this rally is going to go reinforce the desert altar, which is the play to be making right now. Rather than sending the offensive rally, they decided to take both these marches, stick them into the desert altar, secure this cooldown, and start closing down the point per minute gap game. Build blue buildings blinking everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Red team with rallies back, they started to put the pressure on the blue team. And this is exactly what we were talking about when we talked about the fact that that first arc was so important to give that small breathing room that Kingdom 50 needed to say, okay, Misfits, I see ya. It's time for us to start doing our thing. All I'm seeing is blue buildings blinking all over the map. Even though this desert altar that the red team do control is being attacked, and even worse, it seems for the red team that they are going to lose this building. 3 blue buildings are blinking, are being hit. Can the red team convert? Blue team so far winning this conversion right here, taking the desert altar back in their favor. Ark of Osiris is picked up by the blue team. There is a massive amount of troops in here, and boy oh boy, as there wasn't enough breathing room. This wasn't enough breathing room for the red team to really be able to actually start gaining their momentum back. At this point, what they did is they closed the gap. They once again are trying to take a lead, but with all these blue buildings blinking, plus the fact that this Ark of Osiris is marching back towards the blue team side, this is looking grim. Red marches coming from behind, and these are infantries. These are infantries walking with the Ark of Osiris. So the slowest possible Ark of Osiris march in history of Ark of Osirises is carrying that arc for the blue team. And it doesn't matter that you're seeing cavalry hitting infantry right here. With the debuffs from this arc, this infantry march is gonna get chunked down and is gonna hurt. A lot of buildings blinking everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to keep up with all the things going on the map. Careless Whisper joining us in the chat as he's on the battlefield. We saw him right here previously, sitting right there. Careless Whisper, what's up, my man? These guys are just unbelievable. The point per minute game evened back up. The red team are not letting this go. They are sending everything they have Their obelisk is being contested, but there is plenty of presence by the red team and presence of mind to keep an eye on the obelisk right here. While that is going on, blue buildings blinking everywhere. This altar is taking huge amounts of damage by these solo marches. The red sky altar at the bottom here being contested out of the red team's area, but the red team have so many marches in here with Noon and Loki on the battlefield. It seems like, again, even though the Ark of Osiris right now is going towards the blue camp, it's gonna give a little bit of breathing room for the blue team, because the red team are starting to really step their foot on the gas. Even though the blue team have this huge control over the Ark, what the red team are doing right now is they're just trying to slow down the amount of time it'll take for that Ark to make it back into the blue team, allowing more marches to have presence on the battlefield and around this Ark. This wasn't necessarily the worst play, as 2 solo marches really can't do anything against all this, but the little bit they marched this Ark backwards and the little bit of diversion. Look at this one solo march right here, diverting all this chunk of oh no. This could be a very big misstep right here by the blue team, as this one march by Pikachu really moved the whole chunk of our marches in here away from the Ark of Osiris. Even then, the Misfit Lions own 3 altars, guys. It's impossible to keep up with this. The buildings keep going back and forth. Point per minute game was at 440 points per minute, and just like that, it went right back into the blue team's favor, and the red team really have to secure this Ark of Osiris. If the red team managed to secure this Ark of Osiris, what will end up happening is a big gap will open once again. 3,500 points is what this Ark is worth, and if this is happening, if this gets done, then now the red team will have that breathing room they really need to start putting the pressure to take the lead away from the blue team. The blue team is doing exactly what they need to be doing. They're placing pressure across the map consistently with endless streamlines of rallies. We're seeing 3 rallies by the blue team, by the red team, and 2 by the blue team. We've never seen, keep an eye on this chat, you guys will see right here how many rallies are being set at all time, and I don't think I've seen that go down below the 2 the whole match. The whole match, we had at least 2 rallies either hitting, preparing, or marching the whole time. So this is kind of crazy. Buildings blinking everywhere. Red team solo swarming, what they really love doing, this desert altar. And it seems like they're gonna take this desert altar away from the blue team. Blue team instantly reacting already by attempting to take away the bottom sky altar away from the red team. Lion King of 93 leading a rally with Genghis Khan in here. But there were so many red marches all over the place. It looks like Evil, Noon, and Loki are a bit more focused on the individual march, open field combat situation. And I think that's a little bit of a shame, as Noon could send these marches into this desert, into the sky altar, securing it even further, making it harder for the blue team to take this building, making it take longer, and allowing more marches to make it in here. While we're talking about that, Shrine of Life being rallied and probably being taken away from K50. Misfit Lions taking away the second Shrine of Life. But just as they try to get the second Shrine of Life, their own Shrine of Life is being contested and being taken away by the red team. Loads of blue marches all across the battlefield. Can the red team take it on time? Yes, they can. They can occupy it before all these solo marches can come in and secure the building. Buildings blinking everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, this is nuts. I haven't even had time to breathe in between sentences. What is going on? These guys are trading buildings left and right. And now the red team taking the lead in the point per minute game, as there are so many buildings with cooldown on them. We're seeing 1, 2, and 3. A very big building that's in favor of the red team, taking its time to be secured. 1.5 minutes left, and then the red team will take their lead back. In the meantime, the Ark of Osiris is on the red side. The Ark of Osiris is on the red side. How did this happen? How did the blue team, with all those marches, that one misstep, that one march by Pikachu that diverted the attention of everybody away from the Ark, was everything the red team needed to allow more marches to make it in? Chat, ladies and gentlemen, watching the VOD, anyone paying attention, this is the kind of game you want to be playing. You want to delay things as much as possible, allowing your teammates to reposition and to be able to help you out. And that's what the red team did. And they're about to lock in a second Ark of Osiris. And boy, oh boy, the Misfits are in trouble. Two of the altars belonging to the red team, two of them to the blue team. Blue team about to take away a sky altar that's right now the only altar taking for points for the blue team, for the red team right now. Big trouble for the red team as their points per minute game is about to go down. But they did take away an altar from the blue team before losing their own right here. And so the points are evened up. And even though this building will go down and the points per minute game will still favor the blue team a little bit, this Ark of Osiris is exactly what the red team need. They need that breathing room to allow this very small gap of 150 points per minute to exist and not to harm them. They almost took away the lead right here, but once this Ark is secured, the lead will be in favor of the red team. And the red teamers are not stopping. 3 buildings blinking for the blue team as solo marches all over the place. This Shrine of Life might not even be secured for the blue team. So this is massive comeback here for the red team. If they take this building ahead of time before this reaches, this rally will now have a lot of marches available at the front lines. These guys shouldn't let these marches go back. They should be joining the buildings and going forward. We're seeing the Shrine of War also being contested. And this was a solo marches that failed right here. We are at a standstill. Ladies and gentlemen, the map after 40 minutes of madness is even out. It's legit evened out to the point where we have exactly the middle line being taken care of. Let's use a yellow so you guys can see better. The middle line being taken care of. 2 buildings for each side, not secured just yet, being secured as we speak, waiting for those points per minute. 360 against 360. 29 versus 30. It seems like another combatant did manage to join K50. So they are now only 1 person behind. 3 ports available for Misfits and 1 for K50. A very small misplay right there by both teams. It's a waste of ports. Get those people out to the front. Get them going. Take down that march speed of 1 person in here and 3 by the blue team. Careless Whisper watching this might communicate that to his team, as the red team have a huge presence in the center and they have the lead. Even so, the first building to securely be occupied is by the blue team right here. And so they have about 80 points per minute more than the red team right now. But this is all gonna be evened out in a moment. And even then, the blue team are down 2,300 points. They're going to need a much bigger lead, a much bigger point per minute gain on the blue team on the red team to really be able to catch up. As of right now, 3,300, not 23, 3,300 points. Not looking pretty as of right now, but still 20 long minutes to go. And Kingdom 93 versus Kingdom 50 Misfit Lion Division is doing some unbelievable work here. But K50 are no suckers. They know what they're doing, and they're not going to let go easily. Noon and Loki have been swarming this the Sky Altar over and over and over. Every time this Sky Altar goes to the red team, it's these 2 guys doing this exact thing right here. Solo swarming the life out of the building. I want to give an MVP shout out to Densus right here, who has his Boudica in here doing what he can. I would hope there is a Joan in the back here giving a little bit of buffs to the friends nearby. The Sky Altar will be secured for the red team, but the 2 other altars that the red team currently have are being challenged by the blue team. Whew! Okay, guys, I need to breathe. I need a breather. Ooh, whoa, like it is, chat. In case you guys don't know, it is about 6:40 a.m. my time. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. to stream this beautiful event, and boy, oh boy, I don't regret a moment of it. This is probably one of the closest Ark of Osirises we have seen in a long, long time. Red team losing the Sky Altar on the top, and they are working on defending their desert altar. It looks like we're still back to an even playing field. Points per minute game is closed back to 440 for each side, and now each of them waiting for an altar to finish its cooldown time and start ticking for points per minute. This is all evened up, ladies and gentlemen, but the biggest difference, the huge hill that Kingdom 93, that Misfit Lion division are going to need to overcome is right here. This right here is the lead that we're seeing by the red team right now. They secured 2 massive Ark of Osirises that gave them breathing room twice to be able to reach this point where they finally even out the playing field. 7 rallies across the board. Misfit Lions with 4 rallies working on the battlefield. Lion King leading this rally right here on the desert altar, which is being swarmed, plus the desert altar itself. Add to that the fact that K50 are waiting and mobilizing on more rallies right here, including a rally on an obelisk. It looks like there's a rally coming up on the top blue obelisk. Everything that needs to be done here to ruffle the feathers, to make things happen, is happening as Lion King's rally is about to be defeated, and we are on an even playing field. This works in the favor of the red team. At this point in time, the points per minute game is even. Therefore, every minute that passes, the gains are exactly the same. And therefore, the gap, that almost 4,000, and not almost, it's about 3,400 points gap that the red team has over the blue team is being secured with every moment that the points per minute game is even. The name of the game right now is for the blue team to start picking up an advantage on the points per minute game, for them to be able to close down this gap. The big problem for the blue team is the red team has huge presence on the Ark of Osiris department, and even though the blue team do have a very nice, a much bigger presence right now in here, the red team actually making, in my opinion, a mistake here by fighting on the battlefield right here and giving that advantage back into the favor of the blue team. This Ark of Osiris is going to be very important. And it seems like the red team are poised to at least make sure that the Ark drops on their side of the map. And then from there, they're going to go and see how they can handle a third Ark of Osiris. If the blue team pick up this Ark, that's everything they need to get back into the lead and potentially win this game, as the point per minute game evens up 590 on either side. But there are 3 red buildings blinking right now, 3 different marches, 3 different rallies that we saw being prepared right here are hitting right now. And oh boy, we're looking at 4 rallies on the red team coming up against the blue team. So the blue team did manage to jump first and get those rallies out first. The red team is countering those rallies with their own, which are about to come out and start doing damage. And now the defense team has to be able to hold on to all the buildings that are being aggressed on. Blue team seemed poised to take this Shrine of War, even though this rally is taking substantial amount of damage. Connor, H, and Evil Pikachu doing what they need to do to hold on to the Shrine of War. Sky Altar on the bottom is being rallied as well. Loki standing out here, chilling, doing some solo hits on the rally right here. 2 marches here were solo hitting the rally. This solo march actually took Lady Dragon distraction a little bit, and she even started marching backwards, but then realized it and came back to hit Loki's second solo march here. Another reinforcement into the Sky Altar, slowing down the takeover of the Sky Altar. Very important, allowing K50 to show more presence in here. Loki making his way to also secure this Sky Altar. And now the red team react as blue buildings are blinking everywhere. Solo marches plus a rally on the Sky Altar on the top seems to be the solution for the red team, as they're about to take the third altar. And at this point, they're about to start gaining on the points per minute game. 180 points per minute in favor of the red team. The top obelisk being contested as well. This is a distraction. It's primarily there to distract marches from pushing forward on the map. So while this rally is not doing any damage whatsoever in here, what it's doing is distracting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marches. 1 big march by Papa Smurf, And this member right here, I don't think has tier 5s, but this obelisk is full, and all these marches, all these troops are wasted on holding on to this, and that's the whole point of the strategy behind that. K50 are starting to take over this match slowly and steadily. The comeback seems to be real. What a madness, crazy. Probably the craziest Ark of Osiris cast I've done in recent history. I think in the past like 5-6 Ark of Osiris, we haven't seen something as exciting as this back and forth between these two teams. Buildings blinking everywhere. Buildings blinking everywhere. It is so hard to keep up with these guys. They're rallying and solo hitting everything. Lion King's rally seems to be having a tough time right here. Even though this YSG is doing the damage, it doesn't seem to be enough to take this Desert Altar away. Sky Altar will potentially go towards the blue team. It seems like the solo swarm by Lady Dragon plus the rally is doing huge damage, but there is a lot of presence by the red team, and as long as they make one troop makes it into the Sky Altar, it'll be enough to slow down the gains here by the blue team, the damage here by the blue team, to allow more marches to make it in. Big turn of events in here, ladies and gentlemen. The Ark of Osiris is actually in favor of the blue team right now, but the problem is the outpost was taken away from them, so now they have to march into either the altar or the Shrine of War. Shrine of War being contested by K50 and potentially going down. Lion King doing everything he can to stop this from happening, but it seems like the damage on the building is much greater. And boy, oh boy, if this Shrine of War goes down, this Ark of Osiris is now going to have to march towards an altar, which is what it's doing. But there is a red march coming head first to take out this march that is holding the Ark of Osiris. And the name of the game right now, again, is slow down everything. The red team now are looking to slow down the Ark of Osiris. If they manage to stop it from moving right here, it'll do everything it needs to do and allow more red marches to come in. Right now, there's not too much action in the center, John. It's kind of hard to keep up with this action and everything across the board. We're keeping an eye on the Ark. Right now, it looks like the blue team managed to clear out that zone, and this is huge news for them. But the big problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that K50 are 210 more than that now. A lot more than that now. They're about, what is that? 360 points per minute ahead. So even though this Ark is going to go in the favor of the blue team by the looks of it, there aren't enough points in this 4,000 point Ark to close down the gap that was built by the red team. This gap is going to be nice. It's going to give a very, very small breathing room for the blue team to just close that gap, but they're not going to get that early lead, which the red team did get, and they're not going to get the opportunity to breathe back, as this is only going to serve to close down the gap, and now they're going to have to brute force their way to stop the growth of the red team, and then to start gaining on their own side. So every moment that goes by in this Ark is not coming in and is not delivered. More red marches are getting closer and closer to it. Can they actually drop this Ark off the blue team? Is this a thing? I don't think this is a thing. It looks like oh my god, the blue team is letting these marches get by. Wesco is making its way through blue marches. What is going on? This Minamoto is about to do damage. This Minamoto is about to do damage. Oh, buddy. Minamoto on Minamoto. No, that's a Richard right there. And the Richard is at least healing and doing its thing, but it's taking massive damage. 2 solo hits, 2 solo marches on this march. It is tanking. It is tanking quite nicely, and the blue team are swarming these 2 red marches, doing everything they can to stop this aggression by the red team. I don't think there is enough here by the red team to stop this Ark from being delivered to the blue team, but there isn't enough points for the blue team to actually gain some breathing room. What they are doing is they are closing that lead that the red team has on them, and now they have to get back into the points per minute game. The big problem for K93 Misfit Lion division is that 2 Shrine of Wars go in favor of the red team. That means more attack and more defense in the favor of the red team. Very, very bad news for the blue team. While that is going on, their Shrine of Life is being contested, and it looks like the red team is poised to take another Shrine of Life. Even so, the blue team are trying to take away the bottom Shrine of Life with a solo march against what looks like a full building. Probably not a good idea. If the red team managed to take both, well, technically all 4 shrines with both buffs in their favor, both healing and the damage and the defense, boy, oh boy, this is going to become much, much tougher for the blue team that are really starting to seem to have lost that momentum. It seems that in the very beginning, K50 were like, all right, you guys are pushing, we got this, we're going to let you guys feel that push, we're going to do whatever we can to stop it. And with the Arks, they just every time slowed down that snowball that was what started Misfit Lion division. And now it seems that they are slowly, very gently pushing that snowball back into where it started. At about 1,400 point lead for K50. What an unbelievable matchup. I really wonder how that Discord call is going for the Misfit side. I don't think they did anything wrong. I think that perhaps missing out on those arcs in the beginning was a huge issue. I don't really know. We've seen 2 different situations, which we're going to talk about into more depth as we start preparing Ark of Osiris Leagues or Osiris League strategies. I don't really know whether giving up the first arc is a good or a bad thing, but giving up 2 arcs in a row, the first 2 ones, is definitely a no bueno. Giving out a first arc in order to occupy more buildings and win the point per minute game, which is what the blue team did early on, is a fantastic play. We've seen that work really, really well across the board on the top tier of Ark of Osiris strats, but losing that second Ark of Osiris was really where the red team got that opportunity, that second breathing room to be able to do the comeback that they are doing right now. 6 minutes remaining on this matchup, 190 points per minute ahead. More than that, 270 points per minute ahead for K50. JWM Monster saying just a slight lapse of concentration, even a little bit of complacency now put K50 on the back foot. Misfit sticking just to rallying structures is paying off now. And look at that. JWM Monster is predicting the future. We're starting to see more altars going in the favor of the blue team. But the question is there time? I think that that just as JWM Monster said, a little bit of a lapse of concentration by the red team will end up causing them a little bit of issues. But with 5 minutes remaining and a lead of the points per minute game, in the fact that there's still 3 minutes missing before the altar starts ticking in favor of the blue team, this is going to give them about 3 minutes remaining to gain points and try to close the gap. They're really going to have to get a very, very strong gap to be able to win within 3 minutes. And mathematically, this is looking very, very rough. 60 points ahead for the red team. It's still anybody's game. A Shrine of Life is secured by the red team, giving them a slight advantage yet again. And with 5 minutes remaining, I believe that this is going to be very, very, very close. This is going to be very, very close. How can you see the arcs? I joined the alliances that I'm gonna cast. So I am part of Misfit Lions right now. I'm part of their alliance, and so I can join and watch their cast, their arcs. I have accounts across the game on many alliances, but on many kingdoms that I join alliances just to cast these arcs. Red team taking, if this building goes down for the blue team, it is gonna be GG, and K50 seem to have this locked down, as there is about 2,000 point lead for the red team. They are solidly in the lead. There is not enough time remaining for the blue team to take the buildings back and to start gaining points. What they can do right now is they can do what they did here, which is slow down the gain by the red team, but they don't have enough time to actually have the points per minute game in their favor to win this. One huge mistake I think that I'm seeing here is 7 teleports in the favor of the Misfits and 4 available for the red team. So the red team was definitely more mindful of porting forward, which means less march time overall. All these swarm attacks right now are just, and with a rally in here, are just an attempt to really slow things down, but there isn't enough time. There isn't enough time for the blue team to secure enough buildings. Check middle. There is, well, nothing really happening in the middle. Ark of Osiris is still ticking down, and there's not going to be enough time for that. So the middle is completely over right now, which is kind of why we weren't paying attention to it. And of course, we have the Misfits doing everything they can, but unfortunately, I believe it is not going to be enough. Let's take a look at the solo points game. Make sure everybody is taking the rewards, at least from there. 27 members from Misfits above the 10K. 2 more very close, and King ABZ looking to try to get to those 8,000 points in the next 3 minutes. On the red team's side, we're looking at 25 members with 10,000 plus points. 2 of them very close, a third one very, very close, and maybe this person is the person that joined later on in the match. I guess she was a backup or something. I don't know. So she's working on reaching that 6,000, or he. I don't know. I'm saying she because of the picture, right? In terms of the matchup, it seems to be GG. It seems to be GG. There isn't enough time for enough buildings to go in favor of the blue team for them to be able to close this gap, even though they are ahead on the points per minute game right now, and they probably will be ahead once all the buildings lock down in their favor. Maybe? No, this will be an even matchup once everything locks back up. So as much as they did such an amazing job early game, the biggest pitfall for K93 was that second Ark of Osiris going in favor of the red team. And you know what? Even though Homicide, hit him up and ask him, I'd be down to do a post-game interview with Lion King if he's up for it. And Careless or someone, let him know that if he wants to do it, I'd be down to go on a Discord call after this and do like a small interview with Lion King on where he thinks the mistakes happen and things like that. I believe that the fact that they allow K50 to get that second arc in such a relative ease, it's really what sealed their fate, as it did give, as those Ark of Osirises gave K50 yet again more and more breathing room to regroup and rebounce from the deficit they were in very early on. Nothing really going on in the center. Buildings blinking everywhere, but with 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining, there just isn't enough time. 300 points towards the red team versus the 150 for the blue team. This is indeed GG. How are the top 32 kingdoms calculated for the league? It's based on the power of the top 100 players of each kingdom. Rest in peace for the fellas of Lions. Played very well. It was a close matchup. Well done by both teams. Chat, guys, let's get a nice little set of GGs in the chat for both teams. Misfits played an amazing start of the game and had a very, very small situation which caused them issues. And from there, the same can be said about K50, who started on the back foot but kept working even harder. Great cast, Gekko. Would have been better if you dual cast, but thank you for the commentary. Musgrave, we need to get back into the dual casting grind. I need to talk to Chiskel, I need to talk to Dragothian, and we need to see how we keep dual casting, bring the dual cast alive. GG, awesome stream. Thank you, Kariban, I appreciate you. GG's, everybody. Well done. Awesome work by K50, showing their mighty power. The defeat comes up for the Misfit Lion division. Misfit Lion division with Lion King of 93 with so many individual points leading the charge that it zeroed out. Let's take a look at the post-game analysis very, very quickly of like numbers, right? You can clearly see that the healing factor wasn't a huge one. The severely and total kills overall wasn't a huge difference. The thing that really set the pace and won this game was an Ark of Osiris. Yes, it's only 2,500 points, and there is more than that in here. There's about 3,000 points in here. Provision scores was something that seems like K50 was very keen on against provision scores on the Misfits. So Misfits actually won the occupation game. But where they lost the game was in provisions, which really had most of the points lead for the red team. And this Ark was how they closed this gap. So we can really attest this victory to provisions. We can really attest this victory to provisions, as there is a very nice gap between these two teams in terms of the occupation that was closed down by the Osiris capture. But the provisions is really what put that nail on the coffin for the Misfit Lion division. You need an invite to Misfit Lions Discord. Where is Taylor when you need him? Damn, GG. Careless Whisper, GG, my man. That was a very, very tough fight. Bam. And with that being said, let's get out of here. It's not we have a friend in this kingdom who loves me. Shout out to you, my friend Lewis, who is my #1 fan. Not really, but still. Let's get out of this alliance before trouble starts brewing. Bam. Post-game interview with Billy, please. Let's see if he is up for it. I'll message him on Discord, see if that works. If he likes to, that'd be cool. Chat. Let's see if he grants us the interview. It's sometimes a tough time. It's not fun to lose after doing such a great work early on. So I wouldn't think that, you know, it's if Misfit is, if Lion King is kind of upset. If you want to, sure. Let's see if this works out. Let's see. Sure. Bam. We have our post-game interview. Yo. Oh.
Hey, what's up, Gekko?
Oh, wait. Connect that. How's it going, man?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Chat, let us know if the sound is okay, if everything sounds good. So first of all, that was a crazy Ark of Osiris. That was a really good one.
Yes, it was.
You guys started very well.
Yep, we started actually perfectly with 4 rallies to our obelisk and also to their obelisks.
So what was the strategy early on? Like how did you guys approach this match? You knew you were coming up against K50. You knew who these guys are. You knew what they're capable of. How did you guys approach this match differently, knowing who your opponent is?
Yes, we did. Knowing our opponent, how they fight through Lost Kingdom event and through their previous arcs, we decided to avoid as much as possible field fights because they are from a earlier kingdom. They most likely would have better commanders, more troops, etc. So we tried our best to avoid as much as possible field fighting and only doing rallies.
So what happened on that? I think it was the second arc, if I'm not mistaken, that you got. It actually started in your favor, and you guys actually marched it towards your side. But somehow the red team really managed to come back, and that's pretty much that turning point that the red team needed. What happened there?
I to be honest, I was in charge of the bottom team, so I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I didn't hear a call for help from middle team. So we just kept on going as the strategy is, you know. And so as soon as, like, for example, the previous, I think it was the last arc, if I was mistaken, yeah, someone called out help, and we just merged all of our forces towards the middle. And we basically took the arc from there. There was minor mistakes right and left, but that's just, it's mistakes. We can't avoid that. You know, everyone's human.
Oh, for sure. That's the good part about this happening before the league, right? I think you guys actually were honestly blessed with this loss, right? Because it's a loss on an arc, which is really insignificant compared to the fact that you're gaining this experience against someone you will most likely see during the league, where the win or the loss will actually matter. So I think this one worked out really well for you guys. What are, if there is like 3 mistakes that you can say like off the bat, just from like what you saw on the battlefield? I'm sure you guys will have the VOD available to rewatch and see the things that I pointed out. But what are things that you believe you guys did wrong that gave that K50 the ability to start coming back?
I would say maybe there's more than 3 mistakes or like 3 wrongs that was done throughout the whole entire arc. I'll list a few. Like, for example, field fights, people would jump out of the building fight on the field and ignore the objective, which is defending the building. That's one mistake that I've seen. Another mistake is that sending mixed troops to like a YSG rally, which is
Oh
really
boy.
that's a big mistake, and we've been training for months about this. But the problem is with KVK, people are migrating in and out, and it's just like, for example, MFLD. I don't know half of my alliance. That's how many people came in and out of MFLD.
Wow.
But yeah, so a lot of people come in and out of the alliance, and it's just hard to manage how, like, the routine that we usually do with our core members. And then another mistake I would say is, like, for example, in the middle, people would actually go after Richards or Charles Martel, like tanky marches, instead of going after nuking marches, like, for example, YSG and Mina or Genghis Khan, or taking out the nukes first, instead of taking out nuking commanders first, to reduce the damage and increase our chances of getting the Ark. So that's also another mistake that I've seen.
Yeah, those are very like the last one I think is one of the tougher ones, right, to overcome, because when you're in the heat of the battle and with the madness that happens on that battlefield, even a misclick can happen while you're trying to target a certain march and instead you targeted another one. That one, I think that out of your list, that was really the one that is the hardest one to fix, I think. But
Yes,
that'll come with
it
time.
is. Yeah, time would tell, definitely.
So, what? One last question to you. What are your thoughts about the Osiris League coming up? How are you guys preparing for it? Are you guys planning on being competitive on multiple alliances? How are you guys gearing? What's the Misfit? Really, not only the Misfit Lion division, right? The whole Misfit family into this Osiris League.
We don't know how it's going to play out if we're allowed to have more than one alliance in the league. If we're allowed to have more than one alliance in the league, then we're definitely going to be aiming for 2 or 3 alliances, top 3 alliances into the league, if we can.
Well, I'll tell you this. Even though I haven't done a video about the patch notes of update 21 yet, you guys definitely might want to keep an eye on that video, because it will answer your question about that with a little bit of extra information about the Osiris League that I may or may not leak on that video. So that'll answer your question. We're talking here to Misfit Lion King, the leader of Misfit Lions. You guys are doing crazy work in Kingdom 93, and I think I saw you in another Kingdom 201 as well. You guys are doing amazing work out there as well. I'll let you go back to your things. My friend, thank you very much for allowing me to cast this, as well as coming up for a post-game interview brought to you by Bud Light or Budweiser. Whoever sponsors me first can take that out. All good.
Yep. Thank you again, Gekko. I'd like to give props to Kingdom 50 for an amazing job that they did.
There you go.
They have amazing players, and especially Noon is an amazing person. He's just like in general. So good job, Kingdom 50, and thank you very much, Gekko, for streaming our Ark.
I appreciate you guys. I'll always be back whenever possible, and hopefully next time around it'll be just as exciting, but maybe this time with a W on your end.
Hopefully.
Thank you very much, my man. You have a good one, and I'll probably talk to you later.
Yep. All right,
Cheers,
man.
mate.
Take care.
So that was Misfit Lion King, ladies and gentlemen, for a post-game interview. Our first one ever. That was kind of cool. We got to get those going more often. I think that'd be dope as hell. Big shout out to Kingdom 93, to Kingdom 50. Massive GGs to all players involved. And again, one of the things that Misfit Lion King said right there was Noon, one of the leader of K50, one of the strongest, savviest players in the game. And we saw him have huge impact on the battlefield. Chat, this is about where the stream ends. The VOD will be available in a little bit. You guys are welcome to spread it around. Watch this amazing Ark of Osiris that happened. We had an amazing viewership tonight. Thank you guys very much for being here. I am going back to sleep, if you don't mind, even though I'm a little bit awoken now by the madness that was this Ark of Osiris. I'm very glad that I woke up when I did to cast it. Chad, I thank you guys for being here, for sticking around with me. Big shout out to Homicide, Peter Regino. I always butcher your name. Sorry about that. James, David, Musgrave, Careless Whisper, David. Who else we have here? Those dang. We had Oopsie in here. We had Deathstroke, Fresh, John Wagner, and many, many more. Korban and Chizzy. Who else we had on the chat tonight? We had a bunch of you beautiful people, Hex, and many, many more watching this. Liza, thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Chat, I'll see you guys back in another arc. We are for sure casting one last arc, if not more than that. But for now, there's only one that I have scheduled, and it's the last arc of the day. The final slot has a very, very tough arc ahead of it. We're gonna see our friend Big Rick in action as War Z are gonna take on an unknown opponent. Both are in a very, very relative. They're very strong and very close together, so it's gonna be a really, really good Ark of Osiris match. You guys really want to be back for that, but for now, take care. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend, whatever time it is, wherever you are watching this VOD. And I'll see you sooner rather than later. Peace.